Hello, my name is Faye, and we'll be taking motivation in personnel management today. So, like I usually say, this is not a detailed outline of the course. It is just a summary it's a crash course, crash revision for us to help read faster for exam. So I believe that we would still be reading on our own, and this is not the only material that would completely depend on. So yeah, let's go. What is motivation? Before we define motivation, we're going to define morale. Morale is a key aspect of motivation. In short, it's an important part of motivation, and it's a state of mind that is characterized by self-confidence, self-esteem, and drive. So imagine when they see you in a place and they say, the morale here is low. The drive, the confidence is not, the aura is not out there. Everybody is not feeling the energy. Do you get? So we're now going to define motivation. Motivation now refers to the driving force within a person that affects, I'm going to put an acronym here, DEEP, DIP, DEEP. So it's a motivation refers to the forces within a person or driving force within a person that affects DEEP, which is direction, intensity, and persistence of voluntary behavior. Let me take that again. It refers to the forces within a person that affects the direction, intensity, persistence of a voluntary behavior. This is not a behavior that you're being forced to do, it's a voluntary behavior. So what is this deep that I said, this direction, intensity, and persistence that I mentioned? So direction basically is the goal. What is it that you want to achieve? That's direction. Then intensity is the energy, the effort you want to put into work. What you are going to put into work that is now going to turn to complete the goal that you set for yourself. That is what intensity is. And then persistence is how long are you willing to, expend energy towards a particular behavior. How long are you willing? It's a voluntary behavior. So how long are you willing to expend energy, to exert energy or effort into a particular thing, towards a goal or towards a behavior for a period of time? How long are you going to do that? So since we are discussing motivation at the workplace, motivated employees are willing to exert a particular level of effort. Remember that is intensity, for a certain amount of time. Remember that is persistent, and towards a particular goal. Remember that personal management is all about achieving organizational goals. Never forget that. That is always the long and short of personal management. We are driving everybody, we are working with and through everybody to make sure that the goal of the organizations are met. So now, motivated employees are willing to exert a particular level of effort, which is intensity, for a certain amount of time, persistence, and towards a particular goal, which is the direction. If you have persistence and you're putting effort, but your goal, you don't have a direction. Instead of you to work towards maybe 80 of 100, you're just working towards passing, and the pass mark is just 50. If the person that has a target mark for 80% and the person that has a target mark for, let them just pass, maybe 50% or 50 over 100%, the way the efforts they will put into work and the way they will persistently do the work, regardless of unforeseen circumstances, hardship, or whatever, will be different. The commitment level will be different. So you have to have a direction, so that you know what you are motivated towards, so that you know how you are going to behave towards the achievement of this particular goal, which is your direction, how you are going to move, where you are going to. That's your direction. So motivation is a key ingredient in employee performance and productivity. Now, if employees are meant to be productive and meant to be high performing, of course, what will drive them? What will be their drive? What will be their motivating factor? Of course, it's motivation. Permit me to use motivating factor. It's motivation. So it's very key. Motivation is very key in performance and productivity. And behind every motivation, there is a need. Behind every motivation, there is a need. Why are you motivated? It's because you need to satisfy something. Because there's a need that has not been satisfied yet. So you are motivated towards the satisfaction of that need. That is why you are of course, that's why you are motivated. And a need that has been met, a need that has been satisfied, can no longer be a motivator, can no longer be a motivating factor. Also, motivation theories, let's take note of this, are broadly categorized into two. On one hand, content theories. On the second hand, process theories. For content theories, these are Maslow's hierarchy of need, Alderfer's ERG, and Herzberg's two-factor theory of motivation. While the process theories are expectancy theory, Adams equity theory, and goal setting theory. So there is content and there's process. Now let's take content theories. These theories explain the dynamics of human or employee needs. They are explaining dynamics of needs of these people. They are focusing on why people have different needs at different times. They are not going on to other things except why do humans have needs, and how and why is it that they have different needs at different times. That's what content theory, the content, that's what content theory is talking about. Now, like I mentioned, examples or types of content theories are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Alderfer's ERG theory, Herzberg's two-factor theory. By understanding an employee's need, one can understand what motivates that employee. If you know what drives an employee, what motivates an employee, what is the driving factor of an employee, you would know what motivates that employee and even have like knowledge on how to get them to be more motivated. Do you understand? Yeah. So yeah, needs are deficiencies that triggers or energizes a certain behavior until such needs are met or satisfied. So in these content theories, right, the needs are the deficiencies that now trigger or energizes. Is that need makes you spontaneously go and do something, put more effort into work, do more of your assignments, read harder for passive, it is the deficiencies that now trigger or energizes you, gives you more energy to want to go and achieve those goals that you set for yourself. So the needs deficiencies triggers or energizes a certain behavior until certain needs are met. Those needs in question, until they are met, until they are satisfied, before you can move forward. So unfulfilled needs tend to create tension and make people want to find ways to satisfy these needs. The stronger the need, the more motivated an individual is to satisfy these needs. If your needs are not strong enough, you can be comfortable, you can just be, padding it, you'll be fine. But if the needs are so strong that without satisfying them, you can't stay alive. You already know what that is. You would be extra motivated. And lastly, a satisfied need or a met need no longer motivates. I mentioned that before. So something that you have achieved, something you have been looking forward to achieve, you have been motivated to work towards, all of a sudden you have it, or you've now worked towards it and you've gotten it, definitely it will motivate you again because you've been there, you've done that. Been there, done that. Exactly. So let's take the theories under content theory. Let's take those theories one after the other. So the first is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this needs was founded in 1943 in his paper called A Theory of Human Motivation. In this theory, Maslow identified 5 basic categories of human needs and placed them in a hierarchy. So it goes from how triangle is. You now go from the base right to the top, to the pinnacle. So the first set of needs of hierarchy that Maslow did was 5. It had 5 basic needs, and these are physiological and biological needs, safety needs, belongingness and love needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization. Now, for each of these steps, it goes up. So I'm starting from the base now, the base of the triangle. The triangle goes this way. So before you go up to the pinnacle, the pointed part of the triangle is self-actualization, and then the base is your biological or physiological needs. Now let's take this one after the other so you understand better. For your physiological and biological needs, these are air, food, shelter, warmth, sex, drink, sleep. Like, these are things that are basic to human survival, human existence, basically. Then your safety needs are now stability, law and order, security, protection, and a need for secure and stable environment and absence of pain and threats and illnesses. This is the second stage. Now move to the third stage, belongingness and love needs. From the name, you can have an idea what that would be saying. So this is where family, affection, relationships, work group, this is where they come up. And the need to interact with other people and have your own people. This is where that need is. And esteem needs, this is where recognition, responsibilities, achievement, status, reputation, this is all the parts. This esteem needs is where all these parts will be fulfilled. And it includes personal achievement and social esteem through recognition and respect from others. So everything you're trying to do around esteem need is towards getting respect and recognition from others. Then the pinnacle of his first theory, the 5 basic ones, self-actualization. We're still going to increase this to 8. It is not done yet, but the original one is 5 that I am just listing, and that pinnacle is self-actualization. This is where personal growth, self-fulfillment happens. This is when you feel fulfilled, a sense of a person's potential being realized. You feel like, your potential has been put to good use, so you are good. When you have arrived, that is actually what they are saying, self-actualization. So it goes from bottom all the way up. Remember, the base of the triangle is where physiological needs are, and then the pinnacle of the triangle is where self-actualization is. Goals of needs of self-actualization. I wish there was a board right now, but I guess we have to continue. So it is based on a principle called satisfaction progression principle. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is based on the principle called satisfaction progression principle. I'm going to tell you a story about one Femi in this, but just hold on, relax for me. Then he now went on to say that from stages 1 to 3, physiological needs, safety needs, and belongingness and love needs, those 1 to 3, physiological needs, safety needs, belongingness and love needs, those are lower order needs. Maslow is of the opinion that those are lower order needs, while esteem needs and self-actualization are higher order needs. Order as in ORDER, higher order needs and lower order needs. So lower order needs 1 to 3, then 4 and 5 higher order needs. So okay, the 5 hierarchy of needs was then revised in 1970 by Maslow himself. Added 2 others, which were cognitive needs and aesthetic needs, while in 1990 he further revised it and added transcendence, which now stands as the highest form of need. It's a stage characterized by altruism and helping others to self-actualize. Now you've self-actualized. What can be greater than that? Transcendence. When you now help other people reach where you have gotten to, that's the place of altruism. That's the place of helping others to self-actualize. So I'm going to read out the 8 new triangle, the 8 stages of needs now. Remember, I'm going Maslow's hierarchy of needs is always from bottom to top. So the first thing I'm mentioning is at the base. It's advisable that you draw this triangle regardless of how you explain each of this in exam if we are being asked. So draw the triangle and let her know that, okay, let the examiner know that the tip is what you know what you are saying, basically. Not just list it out, because it can be misinterpreted. So we're going to start from the base, like I always do. The first now is still biological and physiological needs, followed by safety needs. Next is belongingness and love needs. Remember, those are the lower order needs in the first 5. But now, after belongingness and love needs, we now have esteem needs. So those first 4 did not change. But after esteem needs, instead of getting to self-actualization, we are going to have cognitive needs, aesthetic needs, self-actualization, and lastly, transcendence. So I'll take the 8 without interruption now, from base to the pinnacle of the triangle, to the top of the triangle. Biological and physiological needs, safety needs, belonging and love needs, esteem needs, cognitive needs, aesthetics needs, self-actualization, and transcendence. I hope you got that. And do not forget the principle this theory is based on is satisfaction progression principle. I'll explain in a minute. Although an employee is motivated, simultaneously by different needs level. But Maslow argued that behavior is primarily motivated, like the behavior that primarily motivates is the one that is the lowest unsatisfied need at that time. So if you are going through the ladder of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you you're going from bottom to top, right? But you can try to further your education, which is cognitive needs, and at the same time try to gain recognition, which is esteem needs. At the same time, try to live in a better area, which is safety needs, an area where you don't have to fear anything. There's proper law and order, a working system. You can also be trying to get belonging and love needs, maybe trying to court a woman or a man trying to settle down and have married and get married. These are things that could happen concurrently. Of course, it's a whole period. It's not just limited to a week or a day or a month. Do you get? So all of this can happen simultaneously. But at the point that the least unsatisfied need in that triangle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the one that you've not got into that stage, the least on that stage is the one that is the primary motivating factor according to Maslow. So let's talk about someone. His name is Femi. Let's name him Femi. He has a place to live, he has food to eat, and he has shelter to live in. But where he lives, let's just use, this is no shade, don't take it anyhow, but let's just use the corridor as an example of where he lives, and maybe he works on the island. But now having to commute, he comes back late, and then he has been robbed in the space of like 6 months. He has been robbed like 4 times. Are you listening? But this is somebody that has food to eat, that has shelter to live in, that has clothes to wear, that has water. He is also building a relationship with his babe, and he is striving to live, to get married to her. Also striving to leave that environment and move into a safer place. Also trying to further his education and expand the knowledge. All of these are happening in his life simultaneously. But Maslow says that the biggest driving force or motivator will be the safety needs. He has accomplished food, air, water, clothes, sex. He's doing all of that. That's the first one. Biological needs. He's alive. He's there. But the second step, which is the safety needs, he has not fulfilled it. Even if he's trying to do love and belongingness by settling down, or he's trying to how will I put it now? Or he's trying to expand, like get more knowledge, extend education, go to school more. He's trying to fulfill the needs of cognitive needs. He's trying to gain recognition at place of work or in his community by doing maybe voluntary work. He's trying to do all of that at the same time. But the next unmet need after the physiological need that he has satisfied, the next unmet needs are the safety needs. He needs to move to a place that won't be robbed. He needs to move to a place that there's law and order. He needs to move to a safe environment that is free of pain, that's free of robbery, that's free of him coming home and being scared. That's the next. So his biggest motivator would be that, according to Maslow, his biggest motivator would be that safety needs. So now this story about Femi, it just proves the underlying principle of satisfaction progression principle. That means if one stage of need is not met, going higher is almost impossible. You have to finish the one before you go on. Secondly, under the content theories, we have the Clayton, that's his name, Clayton Aldafer, but his theory is Aldafer's ERG theory. Now, ERG is another acronym that means existential, relatedness, and growth. ERG, existence or existential, relatedness as a R, and then the G stands for growth. So Aldafer's ERG theory. The name of our theorist was Clayton Aldafer, and this theory sort of aligns with Maslow's. Please listen carefully. It's not hard. It's not something difficult at all. So he claimed, and it was proposed in 1969. Clayton claimed that a person can have multiple needs at the same time at once, depending on the situation. Unlike Maslow that said the needs will have to be fulfilled stage by stage. This guy, Clayton Aldafer, is now saying you can have different needs and try to satisfy all of them at once depending on the situation or the person. So now this one will not follow the principle of satisfaction progression principle. It's going to follow another principle, and the principle Aldafa's ERG theory is follows or is based on is frustration regression principle. I'll take that again. Aldafa's ERG theory is based on frustration regression principle, and it explains that if a higher level of need is not being met, go to that triangle. We're still coming back to Maslow's triangle because that's how I would explain this guy, but just stay with me. Frustration regression principle explains that if a higher need has not been met or has not been able to be met, an individual may regress to focus on satisfying lower level needs. So if out of this existence, relatedness and growth umbrella that ERG put, Adafa put ERG, if a previous need or a higher need is not being met, like you are, for example, now let's take Femi as our example again. He's trying to save up to maybe jackpot for school, masters, but they keep robbing him when he comes back from work, and he needs to buy a new phone, he needs to spend new money, and like the money for saving up is reducing. So at this point it's just going to come down back to safety needs and say, oh, let me go and collect house in Japa first, or maybe Bagada, where we can even be closer commute, and then there's less cases of such because it won't stay out as long as that when it's commuting from the island work to Bagada. So it will just let me wait, maybe God says not my time, let me just wait, and then we'll just come back and focus on the needs before that educational needs, or even before getting married. We'll now think of moving out of that space and satisfying his safety needs. I hope you understand. So now, to understand Aldafa's theory, we're going to remember the 5 first Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Aldafa now categorized 2 of each into his own theory, that made his own a theory. So the biological and physiological needs with safety needs, those 2, he puts it as existential needs. That's the E in the ERG. Esteem needs and belongingness and love needs, we put it at the level of relatedness. That's the R in ERG. And lastly, the growth, self-actualization and transcendence. Self-actualization and transcendence, that's the 5th one. But reading different charts and diagrams online, I saw that some part of esteem and self-actualization, they are under growth, while transcendence is not in this particular one at all. But you can just do 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. But I think we should check that. I'm not very sure which one the examiner is going to accept, but we can check this out and weigh our options. So it explains that the driving force, the primary motivator here, is the different level of needs that are being pursued simultaneously. Maslow, what is the driving force? Is the least unsatisfied needs, the lowest unsatisfied needs. But here it is the many needs that are trying to be satisfied, or that are the different level of needs that are simultaneously trying to be met is what is the driving force, is what is the primary source of motivation for an individual. Now we go to the 3rd content theory, which is Herzberg. Herzberg's 2-factor theory. This was in 1959. Nigeria was still fighting for independence, so somebody was already doing motivation theory, but let's story for another day. We'll get there. So the name of this guy is Frederick Herzberg, Herzberg, and his own theory is Herzberg's 2-factor theory, also known as Herzberg's motivator hygiene theory. So the 2-factor is motivator on one hand, hygiene on the other hand. That's the 2-factor there. On one hand, it proposes that employees, individuals are primarily motivated by growth and esteem needs only. That's what he's saying is the primary source of motivation for people. Esteem needs and growth needs only, such as recognition, achievement, advancement, personal growth, responsibilities, and that these factors, growth needs and these factors are called motivators because employee experience job satisfaction if they receive them. Let me underline job satisfaction because we are still going to come back to this. Job satisfaction if they receive them and are motivated to obtain them. So the motivators, when these motivators are being met, it encourages employee it makes the employee experience, makes the employee experience job satisfaction or satisfaction in their jobs, right? And then they are motivated more to even try and obtain more of it. On the other hand, there are factors outside of work. There are factors extrinsic to work that are called hygiene factors. And hygiene factors affect the extent that the employees feel dissatisfaction in the job. Hygiene factors affect the extent that employees feel dissatisfaction in their job, and we can put it like this: that is answering hygiene factors is answering the question of how high or how low your job dissatisfaction is. So it's just measuring the extent, affecting the extent at which an employee feels job dissatisfaction. There is no hierarchy in this theory. Remember, there was hierarchy in Maslow's and Aldafer. But in this guy's theory, Herzberg, there is no hierarchy here. And hygiene factors include job security, organizational culture, working conditions, co-worker relations, supervisor relation. While job motivators include things like promotions, benefits. So there are two scales now, the motivators and the hygiene. Under motivators, there is a satisfaction and then there's the no satisfaction. If you are not being promoted after putting in so much work, you will be not satisfied. That means no satisfaction. But if you are getting promptly rewarded by all the effort you put into your job, you will be satisfied. That is for motivators. I know this caused a lot of focus in class, but it's not hard. Let's take that again. There is motivators and there are hygiene. Those are the two-factor theory. That's the two-factor motivation theory that Herzberg was referring to. So now, on the first hand, let's talk about motivator. Motivator now motivators. Example of motivators are like promotions and benefits. Now let's take it like this: if you put in effort to do something and you were promptly rewarded, you had the right promotion, you had the right commission, you were promptly rewarded, you would have satisfaction, right? Yes. So that's on the right side of this is my left. Okay, on the left side of motivation. But if you don't have prompt rewards for what you have done, you need to be satisfied. So that's no satisfaction. Remember that motivation or motivators here is dealing with only satisfaction. So it's either it is satisfaction or no satisfaction. Hold that thought. Now, hygiene factors, on the other hand, deal with no dissatisfaction or dissatisfaction. Motivators only satisfaction or no satisfaction. Hygiene, no dissatisfaction and dissatisfaction. So if there are presence of hygiene factors, it will lead to no dissatisfaction. That means it's just in the negative. You are saying that you are not okay. It's just saying you are okay. Do you understand? Like when somebody says, "Are you fine?" Say, "I'm not okay." I mean, you are fine. Maybe not great, but you are fine. So that's what presence of hygiene factors will lead to no dissatisfaction. That means you are not dissatisfied, which means you are satisfied, really, right? But Herzberg did not put it like that you are satisfied. He's saying that you are not dissatisfied. Now, presence of hygiene factors. No presence of hygiene factors if your work environment is not good enough, if the relationship you have with your supervisor is not good, your relationship with other employees in the office is not good. If there is no presence of hygiene factors, then there will be dissatisfaction. So that way you know that, oh, there's problem. So you will be dissatisfied. So motivators, satisfaction, no satisfaction. Hygiene, no dissatisfaction, dissatisfaction. I hope I've not been able to confuse you with these few points of mine. So Herzberg now differs from this other hierarchy needs because it suggests that the only source of motivation is the growth needs. That is your self-esteem, your esteem needs and growth needs. You know, we mentioned that at the beginning of Herzberg's theory. So according to Herzberg, there are the motivators are the growth needs, while the hygiene factors are the lower order needs. And remember, there's no hierarchy in Herzberg's two-factor theory. Good. So for process theory, you know, we've talked about content theory of motivation. For process theory now, we are saying that these theories are not the ones that will tell us the types of needs that employees have or the classes. They tell us how an individual converts these needs that they have into behaviors so that they would understand why you're doing what you're doing, how you convert those needs you have into behaviors. And unsatisfied needs here leads to tension, like I said, and satisfied needs, once a process is complete, has reached achievement, it won't motivate you any longer. Don't forget that. So there are three main theories we're going to be looking at: expectancy theory, Adam's equity theory, and lastly, goal setting theory. So for expectancy theory, we say that people do not exert effort on a job that they don't think they will get a reward on. If you know that nobody is going to send you, I don't think you're going to put in plenty effort. You understand? So people do not exactly exert effort on a job that they don't expect good reward from. And this expectancy theory is by Victor Vroom, Victor Harold Vroom in 1964, and there's also an extension of this Vroom's expectancy theory by Lawler. So there's also Lawler's expectancy theory, or also referred to as Porter, not Proctor, Porter, Porter, Porter Lawler model. So that's this expectancy theory is what everybody's talking about, and what they are looking at is the relationship between effort, performance, and desired outcomes. Effort, performance, and desired outcomes. So firstly, they are saying that the effort is, let's use an illustration before I finally explain this. You want to get an iPhone at the end of the year. You decide that the effort you're going to put into getting this iPhone is saving 2k per day, 2,000 naira per day, or 5,000 naira per day. You are putting the effort, then your performance is having a total saving of 500k in savings by the end of this year, so that the outcome valence will now be getting the iPhone that you want to get. Now what this is saying is that outcome valence must be valuable to you. You must hold it in high esteem in order to get what you are looking for, in order to achieve the goal that you have set, because that is the goal itself. So you have to place high value on it so that it is meaningful enough to want to pursue it. It is meaningful enough to want to exert energy into, and it is meaningful enough for your performance to be consistent. So once you get that iPhone, the motivation process is complete, and of course that's the end. There's no more motivation for that particular thing once it has gotten to the end, like you've achieved your goal. So effort to performance, there are three different stages here. I'll not say stages, but yeah, sort of. So there's the effort to performance expectancy, performance to outcome expectancy, and then there's the outcome valence. So effort to performance expectancy is saying that my efforts will yield a certain performance, and if I see it as possible, the expectancy will be 1. The E to P, that's the effort to performance, is 1. If you see yourself proudly or comfortably saving up to that 2k daily because you know that you want to send 500k, that is equal to 1. That means it is a positive thing. It ranges from 0 to 1. So like you getting the 2K daily, you putting the effort is effort to performance, and that is one. But if you feel like this 2K you're already saving like 500 naira, on some days you save 200 naira, you know, you're already looking at it that the possibility of saving that 500K is very low, then it will now be zero. That means there's no point, you can't get to that goal. It's not a course, you cannot just buy iPhone this year. That's what it's saying. But so that means your effort to performance and your performance to outcome have to be one in order for your valence, your outcome valence, which is your goal, in order for it to be possible. So the effort you put to achieve, the effort you exert to achieve towards something, and then the performance to that outcome yielding result of the putting of the effort. Basically, that's what it's saying. Your effort, the performance around the efforts, like the things that you are yielding to high performance, and then finally getting your outcome valence, which is your goal, the goal that you set that you want to achieve. So if your outcome valence is not valuable enough, you don't care about it enough, you might not even want to put any effort or performance into it at all. So that's what expectancy theory is basically saying. And when an employer believes that with more effort will yield high performance, this performance will also be rewarded fairly, then motivation to exert more effort will now increase. There will be more motivation to do more. Now, that's all for expectancy theory. Remember the assignment that she gave us said we should go and read on. You can also read that as a supporting document for this particular theory. That theory where she said we should write things that we want to achieve and the performance we are putting, if it's equal to one or not, if we see that there's a possibility for it or not. So like you can also refer to the assignment or even other people's assignments in class, just to able to have a even more grounded knowledge in it. The second one now is the Adams equity theory. This explains people's quest for justice and that people are motivated when they perceive or think that their treatments are fair. If people don't think that their treatments are fair compared to others, they might start to reduce the efforts that they put into work. So this one is more like a comparison thing. It's equity. Employees make social comparison with relational others. Who are relational others? Relational others are those you compare yourselves with. You don't just compare with yourself with anybody. Maybe you are in the same department or the same level in the office. The people you compare yourself, put yourself in comparison to, they are the relational others. So this is where this story is saying. It is by John Stacy Adams and it was proposed in 1965. There are many more facts in the original material. Please refer to it. I'm only making the very important points for exam sake. Also, this theory is saying that outcome over input of yourself is what is being compared to outcome over input of others. So you are comparing your outcome over your input. You are comparing it with others' outcome and their input. So your outcome, things like your rewards, your salary, your promotions, your benefits, you are not comparing it, you are holding it against, okay, how much work am I doing that is giving me this particular amount of money? How many hours am I spending at work? What qualifications and skills do I have? What's my work rate like? Against how much am I receiving in return? When last was I promoted? What are the benefits and things that are involved for me if I do all of this work, if I put in more hours at work? You are comparing all of that with how many hours is this person putting into work that is buying car every month? What's going on? Are we not on the same level? Are they paying us differently? All of that. You're comparing with relational others. And once an employee feels injustice, they will definitely reduce, okay, not definitely, but there's a high possibility that they will reduce input or demand higher pay. So it's either, oh, this person is buying, this person at the same level is buying car every month. Me, I cannot even afford to buy car in 1 year. Like, what's going on? So you demand a higher pay, or just reduce the amount of work. Maybe you'll be working 8 hours before you decide, I cannot come and kill myself. You start to work 6 hours because you feel injustice that the person you are on the same level with is doing much better than you are. Now, there's the other side though. They say there's a possibility, or this guy, that's Adam says that There's a possibility you can feel over rewarded when your outcome is greater than your input. But in this Nigeria, I don't please over reward me first. No, so it's not saying in this theory that once a person feels over rewarded, like you feel like the input you put in, your input ratio is way less than your outcome, then one starts to feel guilty because they need to restore the equity. Like I said, over reward me first, let me decide if I want to reduce it or not. So, and if one feels like they're not getting what they want, like I said before, if you feel injustice, you feel like your peers are doing more than you in the same organization, is either you reduce input or you demand a higher pay. And this stems from believing that the input you put, the input of your work is greater, much far greater than the outcome you are receiving, and that's not good. So the motivation drops, and then eventually the person starts to feel anger. So when you feel under rewarded, anger comes in. When you feel over rewarded, guilt comes in. So you can also use the material to read up on this. Lastly, we have goal setting theory. This was by Edwin Locke, and it was in 1990s that this was 1990 rather that this was proposed. So one last thing to remember in what's that guy's name? Adam's equity theory is that there's a formula, there's a whole chart. I don't know how I'm going to explain, but I think you should refer to it. But the summary of the chart is saying that your outcome over your input of yourself in comparison to the outcome and input of other people, that's the rational others, and rewards not being equitable can lead to demotivation or you leave the job, and or can lead to reduction in quality and quantity of production. While rewards that are equitable, that's rewards that are right for they're just right for the amount of input. The outcome you get is equal to the amount of input. That's normal reaction would ensue. While lastly, the rewards that are more than equitable, that means rewards and more, you feel like you are over rewarded, can lead to motivation, and demotivation rather, can lead to demotivation. So it is better that your rewards are equitable. Your rewards and your outcome and your inputs are about like the same ratio, so that you won't feel under what's it called now? You won't feel under rewarded, or feel like your rewards are not equitable, or you won't feel like your rewards are more than equitable, that's over rewarded, because they all have two sides to a coin. So please refer to the material for this particular chart. Now let's go to goal setting theory. Goal setting theory is an effective and widely practiced theory of motivation in organizations, and it is the immediate goals are the immediate or ultimate objectives. The reason why you are even putting effort into anything is to achieve a goal. Remember that. So goals are the immediate or ultimate objectives that employees are trying to accomplish from their work efforts. If you are putting effort into nothing, of course you are working towards nothing. So the fact that you are working towards something, that something is your goal. And then goal setting is the process of motivating employees and clarifying their role perception by establishing performance objectives. You need to tell them. Remember what we said in like the second video, I can't really remember. When we're talking about organization and how strategic objectives will be laid out clearly during things like job analysis, during recruitment, before like the employees need to know what they are there for, and how these strategic objectives are very pertinent to achieving organizational goals. So they have to be clear on their objectives. So I'll take that again. It's a process of motivating employees and clarifying their role perceptions, what they think they should be doing in their roles. Clarify it, be clear as possible, and also establishing performance objectives. The objectives that they need to meet, the objectives that they need to, put effort toward meeting a goal. It has to be clearly outlined. Now, note that goal setting potentially improves employees' performance in two ways. The first way is by stretching the intensity and persistence of effort. Remember what we talked about as intensity, which is the amount of effort you're willing to put in towards achievement of a goal. And then persistence, how long you are willing to put in that effort, to exert that effort. Remember we said at the beginning of this video. So the first way goal setting improves employee performance is by stretching the intensity. You think you can go 2 steps, oh we can actually go 5, or we can actually go 10. You are stretching the intensity and persistence of the effort, and you are also giving employees clearer role perception so that their effort is channeled towards behavior that will improve work performance. You don't want them just being busy. Are they being busy doing the right thing that is, enough to achieve their organizational goals? They have to be busy. They have to channel all behaviors, the right behaviors that will improve productivity at work and work performance as well. Some companies apply goal setting through a formal process known as management by objectives. That's MBO. I'm very sure in our assignment, that one where she told us to stay traditional and is it contemporary methods of something, MBO came up a lot. Just refer to your assignment. I think it's assignment 1 or 2. I can't remember. Just refer to your assignment. You know more about this. And there are many variations of MBO programs, but they generally identify organizational objectives, which is key in achieving goals of the organization. Break them down into work units, and finally specific duties for individual employees. Each and every one of the employees will finally have their specific duties broken down for them. Now, employees are actively involved with their supervisors in goal formation. Employees, they are actively involved with their supervisors in goal formation, as well as clarifying the means to reach the agreed upon goals. Oh, supervisor, if imagine if a supervisor just comes and says, oh, you have to do this 1, 2, 3 steps to help achieve organizational goal. But then if it now seems overboard, or it seems impossible, is it that the employee will not be able to talk and then the employee will just keep working and working on the person faints? No, there will be like a sit down discussion. Oh, these are the things that are possible. These things, they seem like too much of a stretch. Fine, you want to stretch the intensity. However, you don't want to do it. You don't want to go overboard. So you have to sit with supervisors, and employees have to sit with supervisors to clearly state out the roles, the objectives, everything involved in achieving this goal. So there has to be like an agreed upon means that you discuss. Oh, this is possible, this is not possible, in order to reach the goals. And then MBO also includes periodic review and feedback. Although the process frequently creates too much paperwork, it can be an effective application of goal setting in some organization. Fine, there's a paperwork involved, but it can be a very useful tool in some organization. Now, the characteristics of effective goals are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are basically 4 here. We have goal difficulty, goal specificity, goals participation, and then 5, acceptance, and then feedback. Challenging goals lead to higher levels of performance. Please give me a minute. Let me be sure of what I'm saying. Okay, so just to summarize what is in the material up, I feel like there are some technical terms. So in the summary, the characteristics of goal setting theory: there should be clarity. Goals should be clear, specific, and measurable. Instead of saying general things like do your best or make it work, you have to give specific orders. Something like, oh, increase sales by 10% in the next 1 month, or increase sales by 20% in the next 3 months, rather than just do your best to increase sales. There's a difference. It has to be clear. Then it has to be challenging. The more difficult but attainable goals lead to higher performance than easy or vague. Vague means unclear, or you don't even know how the extent you want it to be. So it should be more challenging. Difficult but attainable goals always lead to higher performance than easy or vague goals. And commitment, that individuals must accept and be committed to the goal for motivation to be effective. If they don't commit to the goal, see, if you run, dance, fly, whatever, that goal will not be achieved. And before you know it, the organization will close down. And what does that mean? No job for everybody. So individuals must accept and be committed to making that the goal is motivation, so that motivation is effective. Then there should be continuous feedback. It helps individuals adjust their efforts where necessary and stay on track towards achieving their goals. If there's no consistent feedback, how will you know you are doing well? It's not possible now. You will not know. So there has to be continuous feedback so that everybody stays on track. Lastly, that's complexity or goal complexity. When tasks are complex, providing enough time and learning opportunities is crucial for motivation and performance. So tasks should, although they are complex, should provide enough time and learning opportunities, create space for learning curves. People are not, giants are not built in a day, gurus are not built in a day, experts are not built in a day. So allow or leave the chance or the time for learning opportunities to occur. Let there be enough time for that, and this is going to definitely improve motivation and performance. Thank you.